What up, YouTube? It's your boy Big Cool coming to you from Colossal Boxing Talk, and I am back with another video. In today's video, I'll be discussing Team Porter saying to Keith Thurman, "We'll be waiting, motherfucker." Hey, y'all ain't the only motherfuckers that's waiting on Keith Thurman. Fight fans waiting on this motherfucker to return. Errol Spence waiting on this motherfucker to return so we can fucking get a unification belt. I'm pretty sure fucking Jesse Vargas waiting to get a motherfucking call to see if this motherfucker gonna, sign to fight him, which more than likely he will. So there's a lot of motherfuckers waiting on Keith one-time Thurman. And as you all know, Shawn Porter is the WBC mandatory to Keith Thurman, which he holds one of two belts. He's the WBC welterweight champion as well as the WBA welterweight champion. He won that WBC strap off of Danny Garcia last year in their unification bout. Ever since then, he's been on the shelf due to elbow surgery, and he's expected to return in April against Jesse Vargas. So that's where we put. That's where we stand with that whole situation. And, the mouthpiece of Team Porter is not Shawn Porter. It's Kenny Porter, his father. And this is what he had to say. "We'll be sitting ringside, waiting on you, little Kiki, to fight your mandatory. Shawn Porter. We'll be waiting on you. We'll be ringside." And, he made it clear in this article that they will no longer be doing any intern fights, step aside money, and none of that shit after this fight with Vargas. He said this: "We've done 2 interns. It's going to be Keith Thurman. We're not moving. We're not stepping aside. We'll allow this situation if that's what happens next. But we will be ringside waiting on him to accept the challenge. We're going to train. We're going to work. And we're going to fight Thurman next." Okay, so as you all know, Porter fought Adrian Granados in November last month, won a decision. It was an entertaining fight. Porter did what he had to do to get the victory. It was for the right to face Keith Thurman. His second fight, because the first one earlier this year in August, he defeated Andre Berto, and that was a fight to be the WBC mandatory. So while he's waiting on Keith Thurman to get healthy, he's taking these fights. But he's going to have to understand Shawn Porter and his team is, yes, they're the mandatory to Keith Thurman's WBC belt. But Errol Spence, a welterweight champion, IBF, wants a fight with Keith Thurman. And if Keith Thurman decides to find his nutsack and regrow his balls and says, "You know what, I want that fight this year," there's not a damn thing that Shawn Porter and Kenny Porter can do to prevent that fight from happening, because unifications should always trump mandatories. It's not always the case, but in this case, it should be that way, because this is a big fight. Fight fans want to see this fight. And don't get me wrong. Keith Thurman versus Shawn Porter, their first fight was a great fight. I thought Porter won a close decision, but it could have went either way. And I would love to see the rematch, but not at the stake of a potential Errol Spence unification bout or a fight with, Terrence Crawford. That's just not what I want to see. So if Keith Thurman continues to follow up on his statements as of late that Errol Spence is not on his mind, right now, he has to get himself ready, then fine. I think that fight would be next after Jesse Vargas. Because I expect Keith Thurman to beat Jesse Vargas. It'll be a good, tough fight because Vargas is a solid fighter who comes to fight. But nevertheless, that's a fight that Keith Thurman should win relatively easy, even with coming off of a surgery. But I expect the fight between Thurman and Porter to take place this year, only because that Keith Thurman is not eager to face Errol Spence, because if he was, he is no way in hell he's going to fight Vargas, fight Porter, and then fight Spence. So that would be 3 fights against 3 quality opponents. That's not going to happen. So I expect him to face Vargas, Porter, and maybe it depends on if he come out unscathed in those fights. Maybe face somebody else leading up to 2019 where he says we can talk about a potential fight with Errol Spence. So I understand that Shawn Porter Kenny Porter wants revenge on Keith Thurman, but they got to understand that if Keith Thurman wants to fight Errol Spence in a unification bout, or wants to fight Jeff Horn, Terrence Crawford winner in a unification bout, and it's possible, then they're going to have to fall back. And that's the thing I don't get about Shawn Porter. He allows himself to be put on the shelf waiting for Keith Thurman, who's now, I'm not going to say injury prone, but he does get injured. Fights don't happen. So instead of just trying to fight whoever it may be to stay fresh and to stay active, you're going to put yourself on the shelf for 6, 7, 8, 9 months at a time against a motherfucker who could agree to sign the fight, train, and still get hurt. That's what happened that first time. That's why the fight was pushed back when it was. So, I mean, Shawn Porter, I want him to get his shot at a rematch, but he needs to look out for the best interest of his career. You know what I'm saying? He could always fight Errol Spence for that IBF title if he really want a chance at a big fight, and then at a belt. You know what I'm saying? A title shot. I'm pretty sure Errol Spence will welcome a fight like that. So it's gonna be one of those situations where we gotta wait and see. Everything really is kind of dictated by Keith Thurman, because he's the only welterweight who has 2 belts. So he is that guy. No matter how we feel, he matches up against Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford or Shawn Porter or whoever it may be. He holds more of the power because he has 2 belts in his possession. So he kind of calls the shots. But Shawn Porter needs to make contingency plans if a rematch with Thurman doesn't materialize. Then, like I said, there's always a chance he could fight Errol Spence, who's fighting Lamont Peterson. He could fight Danny Garcia if Danny Garcia wants that fight. Hell, he could fight Devin Alexander. You know what I'm saying? Who's back now? I'm not saying he's back on that level, but he's back. You know what I'm saying? The point is, Porter needs to fight, has a contingency plan, just because, you never know what to expect with Keith Thurman or just the boxing business in general. So, I mean, he needs to fight. He needs to continue to stay sharp, stay fresh, and, and hopefully for his sake, a fight with Keith Thurman materializes where he can get a chance to get his revenge and win the WBC title. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to Colossal Boxing Talk. Drop those comments in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. Also, Colossal Boxing Talk is in association with Three Kings Boxing under the Movement umbrella. So subscribe to all these channels. Continue to rock with us. Shout out to my boy Willie the Kid, C-Bone Henderson, 2K, Bo, Bernard, B. All the cast is rocking with the movement. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.